Today is going to be an absolutely fantastic happy hour. You're going to love this one because this is one from one of the community favorites, one of my really good friends, Jeffrey Schwerdt, who's known as Herschy in the industry. He's one of the godfathers to me in this local marketing game. But he's also beyond local marketing. He understands creating, running, and even selling companies. He's done that successfully, 7 figures over. And I'm just so amazed at this man's discipline and how he looks at an operation and he finds processes and solutions to create efficient operations. A lot of that has to do with automation. So if you would like to learn today on client getting strategies, some foot and door strategies, some automation around your business, and some really, really, really applicable stuff for your business right now today, then you came to the right happy hour. As you know, this is your crew right here. These are digital marketing agencies that are looking to land some clients. Cool. So let's have some fun today.
Awesome. So first of all, thanks everybody that joined us. It's obviously Friday afternoon. You guys have been doing this with Damien for quite a long time now. So it's good to see this thing going on a regular basis. We talked about like inside today and what we're going to do on the call. It sounds like a webinar, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the way I operate because I have systems and processes, and when I send stuff over, it's how I do it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the keys to efficient workflows to help identify real versus busy work for your staff and how to automate and empower them. I'll actually literally tell you everything I'm doing right now in my own agency, as well as things I've been hired to consult for other businesses. The simple method to duplicate and then remove yourself from daily team activities. And I'll talk to you guys about those. Again, like Damien said, he'll interrupt me, ask me questions, all that kind of stuff. How to run a weekly stand-up that sets the tone early, the beginning of the week. I know Damien's got staff meetings on Mondays. I do too. Mine are at a slightly different time probably than most people's, and I'll tell you guys why in a little bit. And then how to identify using that staff that you need to either rope in or rogue staff or potentially staff you need to let go from there, and then how to do it appropriately. I'll talk about some stuff because I literally do this on a regular basis right now. And then how to have the keys to a happy work-life balance and without sacrificing year-over-year growth, right? How to actually get more out of your business because you're automating the processes and things with people. So one of the first things I do when I come on board to be a consultant or when I bring somebody on to my company, it's the same thing, but it's kind of looked at 2 different perspectives for us. And I just want to give you guys a quick reminder of this. It was in the email. This isn't a brag or anything. Like I've got companies that pay me $10,000 plus a month to do this and to run this for their companies. So I have to be dialed in and I have to be ready for this. So when I tell you guys these questions and what I'm doing, this is real stuff that people are paying money for. This is nothing for sale today. I'm literally just going to give this to you. What I do is when I first come in, I figure out kind of the lay of the land. I've got to figure out, who I'm working with. I got to figure out, what their personalities are. They're probably concerned, of who I am. When I bring a new person into my agency, when I interview them or when I'm talking to them, I basically say, hey, look, this is our initial meeting. This is kind of to feel each other out, just to kind of see where we're at. If I'm coming in as a consultant, I tell them it's a confidential meeting. Nothing that we talk about is going to be shared outside of between the 2 of us that we go through. And I want to kind of just break down some of the barriers from them, the reason why I'm here, all that kind of stuff, right? It's not corporate, but it kind of goes along the lines of like, we're going to try to level up where we're at. And we need to have these things in place to do that.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah, shoot.
Question. Are you sharing a screen or not
Nope.
sharing a screen?
No, I'm just walking you guys through stuff right now. Because some of the stuff that's on here is sensitive from there. So Damien, I can send you some of these things. I just want to make
sure that you didn't know.
Yeah. No, I'm not sharing for you guys. So one of the big things for me with this is I want to break down the barriers and I want to get them to know that I'm another human on the other side. So have some empathy, for where we're at and not necessarily coming in, or they're not coming into my company as like, a deer in the headlights, like why they got hired off of Upwork or why they got hired off of Craigslist from there. What I like to do is I like to have them tell me a little bit about themselves. So where are you from? Family, education if I need it, right? What got you into this? Why did you apply? And then my most important question of the day that I'm going to ask you is, what's your favorite sports team? Right? Kind of get a little giggle and go from there as we set up. So I would think that in that case, when we're talking to somebody along those lines, it kind of breaks down that barrier of, as you get set up. I would think that one of the big things when you're talking to sports teams is it kind of like gives them a little bit different. If they don't have a sports team, like, okay, cool, then I guess you're safe, right? You pass the test. And they're like, oh, okay, right? So at that point, then I either help define or I ask them what their role or their mission is. I ask them kind of what their day-to-day tasks look like, and I get them to kind of fill me in from there. I want to kind of get a general idea of who they are, what they're doing, and what they believe they're doing, right? But if I'm bringing somebody onto my agency, I'm telling them, this is what your role is. This is your predefined mission in my business. Here's what our core values are, which I'll talk about here in just a little bit. And then show them what the day-to-day is and kind of go from there. So in addition to that, as we go through, I also want to know what their number one strength is, right? Like, why do you think we hired you? Or, what do you bring to the team that no one else can, right? Or what are you doing right now that brings strength in your position of who you are? A lot of the times I'll also tell you your weaknesses. At this point I go, all right, this kind of gets a little corporate-y. I'm going to ask about strengths. I'm also going to ask about your weaknesses. And I don't really dive into it from there. I just having a conversation as you go through. And then if they give me any weaknesses, okay, are you working on them or do you need help with them? Just kind of like, hey, I'm here. If you guys notice, these are literally kind of how I ask the questions. If I was just talking to Damien right now and bringing him on board, or I was basically coming into his company and talking to his staff. And I said, okay, how are you tracking your processes? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? If I'm bringing on an outsourcer, somebody from Upwork, all right, here's the processes that we have, right? And me as the owner, I should be able to understand that this is what your job title and everything that you have does. And the way I look at it is, look, what gets measured gets results, right? If I don't know what the data is, I don't know what the actual result is going to be. And I always take data over opinions. I can believe that this is what it is, but you can't argue against facts and data. So next up from there, who are our customers, right? So for me, if I'm a digital agency, all right, so our customers are home service companies that need help with lead generation and being able to connect all of their social media accounts into one universal inbox that we're allowing to communicate with them on a daily basis. So what you're going to do inside of our agency, inside of our business, is you are going to help us go find those types of businesses. You're the person that they're going to see after they say yes, that they want to work with us. That is who you are going to be working with to bring them on board, right? That's the way I'm going to stay inside of my agency. Now, if they already are in the business, I want to know what exactly their job description is and what they believe it is, right? So, who are our customers? How are you helping them? Like, what is your job title here, right? Customer experience, customer support, onboarding, whatever it is as I go through. Now, after that, I kind of get a general, run of the land for like who they are or what they do. And then I ask them a really off the wall question, which is, if we had to make our rent by the end of the month, right? If we had to cover our rent, I call it a rent run in my business, what quick money strategy could you think of off the top of your head? It could be completely off the wall, but like, what could you do? Damien, I think you might be surprised. Like if I said, hey, what kind of, rent run could this digital agency do? Or, what kind of offer could we put up tomorrow that could potentially run a sale to be able to make us money? Think about that, like in your businesses, like, I don't know, maybe ask a couple people, like, what do you think you could do to make money in the next 2 weeks? Think about that for a second, right? Like what would you guys do? Actually, I can't see if there's any comments because it's closed because I'm on my thing, but think about that, right? So after that, I kind of have an idea of where we're going to be and how that person and I are going to interact in our business. Okay. When I talk to them, we're going to go through back and forth to the job position, who they are. I said, okay, so, having gone through this, right, I understand that you're doing this job. You feel like, your weaknesses are that maybe you don't have enough time in the day, or you start a lot of projects, but you don't finish them, or, you're not quite sure how to do, X in the position, right? Or, who you report to, whatever it is, right? Okay, what are some objectives that we can work on in the next quarter? And I set 3, right? And for the guys that I work with, I use Slack. You can use anything, but we use Slack. I actually pin it to their Slack. I can't show it to you because it's confidential. But in the companies that I work with, each person that we talk to, we actually pin their objectives. And at any point in time, if there's any clarity, any question, whatever it is that we need to have, I can go back and I can look up their objectives. I'm actually looking at a specific employee in one of my companies right now to make sure that we're meeting or at least getting him on the appropriate objectives, because he's actually failing at all of them. And we're trying to set this up. So from the objectives and action items, okay, so what should we do next, right, from here? And what I do is it's almost like a verbal agreement, a non-contractual contract, if you will, where we're going back and forth and having a conversation with this individual where, all right, so I'll just pick, Damien, since I know you. Damien and I have had a conversation. We've spent it's about a 20 to 30 minute total thing. I tell them it's about 20 minutes. And I'm always off by 30 minutes. 29 to 31 minutes is every single one that I've done of these, right? We're usually done right at like 30, plus or minus 1 minute. So by the end, they've told me a little bit about them. They haven't had a chance to tell me about themselves, ask questions about me quite yet, but we've come to some sort of agreement of what our contract is, of where we're going to go next to either start to make sales, improve the team, whatever it is, right? After that, we've come to the objectives. All right, I put it in Slack in real time, put it on a pin. I write notes on a piece of paper as I go, and then we put it in there, and I pin it to our chat, a private one-on-one chat that only the two of us have. That allows us to go back and see what we're working on at any point in time. There's never a question. It never gets lost. After that, I say, all right, what other questions do you have, right? And I've had 1 or 2 people ask me like scenario-based questions, or, well, if you had to do my job, what it was, which is cool, right? I don't mind that. They should. But then I go, anything you want to know about me, right? Like, what do you want to know about me? I basically came in and I talked to you like you're a brand new employee in my company. There's 17 other us in the office. There's, 12 of us virtually, whatever it is. But, what made you join us? What do you want to know about me? Right. And then some people ask 1 or 2 things, or the sports team thing will come back up, all that kind of stuff, that kind of deal. Right. And then from there, I ask them, all right, what do you do for fun? What do you do on the weekends, from there? Because I want to know about their family. I want to know about who they are and set up. And you're probably wondering like, well, Jeff, you told us you could talk about systems and processes. Yeah. Your humans are the process. The people that are in place with you on a day-to-day basis are the folks that are really going to either run the automations or be the automations for you. They're going to be an extension of you. Think about it this way. The people that work with you or for you, depending on how you look at it, I'd say with you, are becoming an extension of you. Damien, you've had staff in the past, and you've got, well, actually you have staff, but like, how do you see that thought? I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah, I mean, your humans are definitely your systems. We're not at a point where computers run everything, and hopefully we never really get to that point, because if you notice what's really going on in businesses now, people want to do business with the human, not the brand. Yes, they get connected and follow and engage with the brand, but they really want the CEOs to come out from the other end of the desks and get out there and just, they want to do business with a personality, right? So it's important today that we pick the right humans, that we set them up for success in the right positions. And I love this line of questioning that you asked for staff. I mean, it's incredible, especially ones that could use some help and can use, again, just ask. Communication's key. Like, you're not hitting your goals and objectives. Are you working on it? Do you need help? Have you asked help? These are incredible questions to ask.
Yeah. And I think some of the big things with this for me, and I'm pulling stuff off my phone too, so I can look down and make sure I have it, as well as, like, you just actually brought up a really great point, Damien, which is you have the objectives and you have something to measure to, right? When I have a problem, and you're going to have a problem at some point in time, and when you do that, you need to have your core values down, right? Your core values need to boil down to what your company is all about. So you've got our objectives. This is our personal contract between the two of us in our confidential meeting. The core values spread to everybody in your company. And even when I run masterminds that are larger paying masterminds, or I'm talking to a business that's a consulting client of mine, or we're doing inside of our own SaaS companies and things like that, we want to have core values and what they mean to us, because we don't want to deviate from those, right? So with those core values, it comes up with 3 or 4 listings or items. And a lot of times things like integrity come in, or maybe like responsibility to the customer, doing what's right. And I would think that if I said something and did something where I can say, hey, look, we're having a conversation, something happened, let's see how this stacks up to our core values, that becomes almost an inarguable argument, right? Yeah. You don't have the ability, because, I mean, David, if I told you that like integrity and responsibility are 2 of my core values, and we have an issue with me not turning things in on time or not finishing completely, does that violate my core values?
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a guide. Not only for the staff or employees, but also for the deals that you do or don't do. Like, would doing business with this company stack up against our core values? Business deals, contractors, employees, vendors.
Exactly. And if you just say, these are my core values, right? Then you can set this up and you can go through from there. After we do this and we do the one-on-ones and we're going through these onboarding calls, what I do is I take notes, right? I take notes on a piece of paper and I transfer them onto like a Google Doc just for me, for these one-on-ones. But it allows you to set those expectations from there. And, a lot of people are like, we want to just get going, right? We brought you in, like, let's go. Well, for me, that's great. But like, think about like, a quote from Abraham Lincoln: if you gave me an hour to chop down a tree, I'd spend 45 minutes cutting the axe, right? You need to have that system, that process in place. So get your tool ready. So to do that, we need to all be on the same page, right? So the big thing for me is I want to give them a couple things to hang their hat on. The objectives. We've agreed to something. We've got a contract. We have core values. You now know what our company stands for. So real quick, Damien, I'm going to have people type in a yes or a no in the chat. Okay. I can't see the chat right now.
Chat.
How many of you guys have core values in your agency, or a mission statement that you're digitally, and don't call anybody out. Just give me like a little poll. I think, can we do polls on here of a yes or a no? Like, just type in Y or N, right? If you have core values and or a mission statement.
Okay, we're getting them in now. We're getting a yes, a no, a yes. And everybody can see these. This is wide open for everybody here. So Robert's on yes, Jam yes, Kevin no. Kevin Davis, good to see you on, and let's work on that. Sharon yes.
So perfect. So those are the key things, right? As you go.
Got a lot of yeses. I'm really impressed. There's a lot of yeses.
That's actually really good. With this, for me, I set that up and core values, and then I try to create a tagline for the company. I can't give you guys some of my taglines, or I would just out of I don't want to talk about some of the companies and stuff. I just can't.
Like go mobile or go home. That's like a tagline.
There you go. Go. So, all right. So here's our core values. Here's our tagline. Go mobile or go home. Right. So now you're creating a culture. You're creating people that are you're buying into the human asset in your company that a lot of people don't talk about and set up. So now from there, what I do is I have somebody kind of updated, indoctrinated, and setting up as we go. The customer avatar, right? You need to understand exactly who your customer is. So if you're going to bring somebody into your company, for me, we're going to work with home service companies, right? So who is that? That's the six-figure to $400,000 or $500,000 a year type home service company that maybe has one or two trucks, less than a dozen employees, right? The more you can define it, the better you can speak to them in your marketing, in your advertisements, in your conversations, everything that you have going from there. So as you're going through, you've talked about you're bringing on your staff or even yourself. You can do this to yourself as well as you go through. You got your core values. Now you have your tagline of who you are. Think about that customer avatar. Who are you speaking to? And I like to ask that question when I'm talking to a lot of these new folks that I'm working with, whether it be I'm coming in and working with a team of 4, 5, 6, 7 people, or I'm bringing on a new staffer. I help them define who the avatar is and what we can do to basically clarify that for them. And then I come back on my weekly stand-up that I do, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And I ask them, okay, who's our customer? What are we doing to help them? Because if you know specifically who you're working with, you know that everything you do is going to be based around helping that one particular type of person, right? So if I'm talking to Damian Zamora, the business owner that's got X amount of employees, X amount of revenue, and he's got 3 moving trucks, right? We'll just call Damian, you're now a mover here, right? So Damian's got 3 moving trucks, 7 employees. He does $250,000 a year. Actually, he's got to have more than that. So he does about $450 a year to have those 3 trucks. He's doing 3 to 4 moves a day, a package job. He's doing 4 Fs. If I understand exactly what he's doing, now I understand why he's not available to respond to me, or when he's available to respond to me, what his revenue looks like. Does he have room to expand? Where those things are at. So if I truly define that avatar, I know the person that I'm talking to, and I can have those conversations, because we all walk in there as digital agencies coming with all the hottest products, shiniest objects off the street, greatest foot in the door technique. That's great. But if the person who I'm talking to does not receive my message because it's not a perfect match, then I'm just wasting my time. So as a digital agency, the marketing and the message match, right? So I want to make sure that the product and the person that I'm selling to, they're getting the right message at the right point in time in their business. So we're not just throwing spaghetti up on the wall as we go. And a lot of this helps start to simplify and drill down your business, because if you realize who you're talking to, you're going to weed out a lot of the conversations that you don't need to have on a regular basis as we go. From there, what I do is I start with my staff, and I do this on myself as well for multiple days of the week. I call it time blocking. There's other words for it too. I actually set for my staff, this is what you're going to be doing in these windows of the day for these days as we go, right? So have it time blocked between the hours of 8 and 12 or 8 and 10, whatever it is. And when I come on board to a company, if I have 3 or 4 people that tell me that time management is their problem, or I don't have enough time in the day, or I don't know, I got this and I got this and I got that, I'm like, okay, well, when do you do that? Oh, when I need to, right? Or, well, okay, like when do you, and this is great for sales folks, right? When do you feel most energized? Do you feel energized when you're talking to somebody first thing in the morning, like whatever it is? What I normally find, and this is not everybody, is that most people come into work and they're good, right? They want to get rid of some of their emails and stuff. We just can't function otherwise. We get past that one part, and then we go into like a grind mode for an hour and a half. There's some time blocking stuff that I teach that you guys can do. 60 minutes, within about 50-minute work window, 10-minute break. You do that for 2 sessions, take a break, lunch for a half hour, whatever it is. But then normally after that, people are little bit like, the afternoon lull, the 1 to 2 p.m., like I could take a nap, or, I just don't feel creative anymore. I can't like do what I was doing this morning. That's when you talk to people. Like that's when you go from I'm tired and I'm not like 100% ready to go. I can't be creative. I can't do content marketing. I can't, post on Facebook or do that, or I can't think clearly to do a task. That's when the sales stuff happens, when you want to have the meetings, the calls. Why? Because in most cases, not everybody, most people, some of the introverts, they're drained by other people. But for some of us, talking to other people energizes you. It brings you forward as you go. So I'm setting this whole thing up for myself so that I know on my day where I work best. I'm actually in like week 3 or 4 with one of my newer clients right now. We did everything that I just talked to you guys through. We are in week 2 of time blocking right now, and we're making the adjustments and we're making the tweaks. And we set up, like some of my guys, they leave in the afternoon to go out and prospect, right? Other guys, they grind in the morning, and then they take the afternoon to write content or do something else. So just think about what works for you. Now, customer support and things like that, you need to have a system and a plan in place. Like, check the desk in the morning, midday, and evening, or in the morning and before you leave at night. But once you know what that is, you know how your machine is running. I know that between the hours of 8 and 10, every Tuesday morning, Damien's writing me a blog. Kevin's on a Facebook Live. Mark is out at dealerships, whatever it is, right? I know that because that's how the system and the process works. And I can go look at their calendar, and yeah, there's going to be breaks and free time, and there's some adjustment periods, but this also cuts down on all the chatter, the water cooler stuff, the busy work that people believe that they have, because they've told themselves, we have an objective, we have a core value, right? Going back, that in this window, I am going to do X. That's it, right? So Damien, like you, I know you have a routine, sir. So I have a routine. Mine's, I think, opposite of yours. So he gets up in the morning. Damien gets up, meditates, gives thanks, works out, and then you start your day. Am I correct?
Yep. Yep. After my
I don't even work.
call,
I don't work with Damien or for Damien. Damien's a friend of mine. I know his routine. Like he has a routine for himself, right? For me, I get up, I check some emails, I go to my office, and then I start with my time blocking, depending on how it's set up. My workout is at the end of the day as we go. And then once we get all this stuff in place, now I want to start implementing my system. How do I implement this? How do I get it up, right? I need to get basically everybody at the starting line at the beginning of the week and say, ready, set, go, boom, right? So that is a weekly stand-up. Damien, I'm sure that I know you do. You want to tell us a little about, like, you guys have weekly stand-ups on your side, correct?
Yeah, in terms of the meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we do 2 structures. We have a Monday, which is our weekly. That's our meeting where we're there for a solid hour talking about last week, this week, are we hitting goals? We're looking at all the data. And then I have a daily meeting every single day. This is a good one. This is a great tip for all of you, because it's something that the executive team at Go Mobile absolutely enjoys. And that is our daily 12-minute huddle. That's it, 12 minutes. We get on, it's 4 of us. It's the 4 people that that lead this company. We get on and we have 12 minutes. So we split it up, 4 minutes each, right? Or wait a minute, it's 3 minutes each. Sorry, 3 minutes each. Sometimes somebody might take 4 and somebody might have to take 2, but we're done. We'll see you on Slack. And you know how it starts? Here's our structure. Something good going on in your life right now. It could be good news for business or personal, your son, your daughter, something happened great in your family, and then what you're focused on today.
Yeah,
and every single morning.
So, all right. So I'm going to go to that real quick since you just brought that up. We actually have daily accountability as well, something for us. And I kind of plugged that in. So I use a software, somebody else's software. It's not my own, that we actually do like a little bit of, it's like a writing app to help like document and improve your life. So it's kind of like, basically a minute to stop and meditate and think and think about what works for you and, what you're grateful for that day. Or like you just said, Damien, or like, something that you're working on or what went well, right? So we do that as well. And we actually have an app. So we actually post the screenshot every single day. And this thing gives you a score and goes through, which I thought is really cool. And then we have a daily accountability that's done every morning. I have everybody in my company except for one person does the gratitude, and they post it at the end of the day of like how they did overall. One guy asked to do it in the morning, and I said, sure, as long as you do it, I don't care. And he's been doing it, right? And I think what it really does is it allows, and I'm not obviously I'm gracious for, or I give gratitude for like what I have and all that stuff, but I'm not a big like woo-woo type person. What I think it allows you to do is it allows you to self-reflect a little bit. It actually makes you stop, because a lot of us, especially me, will go a million miles a minute and not stop and smell the roses. And this will let you stop and smell the roses for a second as you go. And I think at the end of the day, we can figure out that, we're going to be gracious and, give gratitude. I don't know why I keep saying gracious right now. Give gratitude to what we've got, and then move forward from there. And then we have daily accountability, right? Yesterday, what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, and my needs. Damien, do you guys run that in your company?
What's that? What was that again?
Like, do you do like hey, here's what I did yesterday, here's what I did today, and here's what I need?
It's what we do it each day. This is what I'm going to focus on today. And even me, the CEO, is saying, this was the good news. This is the good thing that happened. And this is what my focus is today. So we kind of sometimes the following day will ask, how'd that go yesterday? Right.
Yep.
So
that's, yeah. So it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So those are the big things for here. And then some other notes that I've got for this is when I do this, right, I want to kind of just get the daily update, the daily check-in. Is basically as you're starting your day, let me know, right? This kind of also gives the objectives of the day of where we're at for what I'm setting up. But for me, also boils down to, I then go into my week and I start my week, because you just brought this up, so I kind of jumped one, go back to my weekly stand-up, right? I prepare on Sundays what we're going to talk about for our weekly stand-up. This is our company objective. This is our company goal for the week as we go. And, here's our core values, right? So I actually we've asked people, hey, give me one of the core values, right? Go, right? And they each pick one and how it applies to our business and go from there. I then say, all right, here's a quote of the week, or here's kind of our big tasks as a company for the week. And here's my own tagline. So each executive in the companies that I work with, or even for myself, we kind of have our own tagline. For me, it's no excuse, just produce, right? There's that. I mean, it comes from the fighter pilot mentality, right? Either you do it or you don't. If you tell me you're going to do it, you're going to get it done. Now, that does not mean you got sick, you got COVID, and you're unable to get out of bed for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. If you tell me you're going to do it, you're going to meet that deadline. That's it. There's no floundering. There's no waffling from there. That is a personal one for me. Other folks in my company have their own, and each guy and gal kind of has their own little tagline that makes sense to them, and it kind of helps motivate them. And what's funny is it winds up being that everybody has all of these taglines, because we're all talking about it, saying about it when we start posting what we're doing inside the groups. But it comes up to the weekly stand-up, and I'm the one that runs it. So I said, all right, there's no excuse, just produce. What does that mean for us this week? All right, updates. Guys, I'm reading one of my things right now. I'm not going to show it to you because it's confidential, but we're going to tighten up and standardize some things, right? In the last couple of weeks, I've noticed that, we've got time blocking, we're setting things up. We were running kind of like a ragtag group before I got here. Look, in our agency, we kind of got spread out this summer, right? We were trying to make revenue. We don't know what's happening, whatever. We're going to tighten things up and standardize. I need my eyes on everything that comes through the door right now, especially when it comes to the marketing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to be 10 seconds on last week. So Damien, like you talked about, like one quick thing for me. And then we're going to talk about each of you and break down what your objectives for the week are. So, from employee number one, I need your outline for this. And then I need your content agenda, right? Congratulations to employee number two, or contractor number two in most cases, on getting the agenda to me. great job on the big deal that you closed last week. So congratulations on that. For us, we're going to target niche specific accounts this week, right? We're going to go after a new niche. Let's make sure we have that funnel up and running. Going from there, what do you need from me on that? That is their moment to say, hey, I need you for this, that, the other thing from there as we get going. Staff number 3. All right. So you're building a pitch deck from there. What I think would be really cool, and again, systematize, automate processes. This is a non-software type of automation for me. We're going to have standardization throughout the company. All of our decks are going to match all the brand book, the color book of our agency, the color of our website as we go through from there. So I would think that as we go through and we create a solid pitch deck for our company, whether it be I'm covering with affiliates or I'm talking to a new prospect or sales, like I'm doing an onboarding presentation, everything is congruent. Staff number 1, number 2, number 3 doesn't have a black slide, a white slide, a green slide, and everything's incongruent. Everything is standardized. That also speeds up the process of having things built for your company and having people implement things because it's already done. It's just off the shelf and it's plug and play from there for us. So as I go through and I do my weekly stand-up, I'm just kind of getting my updates for where each and every person is. So I just went through a couple of staff from there. And then I talk about, this week's topics. What are we looking at? The big picture, the vision, support, if we need to from there. This is where, kind of go in and we have conversations and things like that for about 20 minutes or so. And then what I like to do is I like to say, all right, let's figure out what each one of our one big task for the week is. What is the biggest impact that you can make this week? What is your one task from there? And then each person has one. That also becomes their objective for the week. It also ties into their core value, right? So if I'm telling you I'm going to attempt or I'm going to finish project A, then that's what you're going to do this week. If I'm off working on project B, well, if my responsibilities are, call it integrity and responsibility or being responsible, right? Well, I'm not doing that if I'm not working on my project, right? I'm not following my time blocks that I've set up for myself. So you guys see how this all starts to tie into one big process and one big system, and it starts to automate me as the executive in my business because I'm watching
everybody on the same page, getting the entire operation on the same page. Just
you got it. Yep, we're not using software. We're using human power.
We're all going like that, right?
Yep, exactly. So the next part from this for me is now documenting. This is it, right? So we've gone through and we've set everything up. We've talked about getting the initialization, getting everybody on board, doing my one-to-ones and setting my expectations, right? You don't need to be a hard ass, but having the core values gives you something to be a hard ass about, to be firm with, right? I am firm on my core values. Our core values are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right. And I think integrity is always a great one because you have integrity to your customers. We're going to say we're going to do what we're going to say we're going to do when we're going to do it. And responsibility is another good one that I use a lot. The other two can balance around depending on your company and who you are, right? Whatever that makes sense for you guys. It sets the expectations. Now, when you go through everything that I've went through and I've gone through on this, I then try to basically create I'm going to help you move up and out of your job concept, right? I'm going to implement this into their brand of like, look, help me help you get up and out of your job. Let's move up with the company. As we grow, I need to be able to duplicate and replicate you, right? So we need to create standardization. That's where like those decks come in. Systems and processes, match all the branding, everything that goes in. Now, when I was in the Air Force, I was in the military, we called them continuity binders. Right. So if I died today, somebody can come in and do my job just by reading the checklist. There are software that allow you to do that right now. So I go through and I find you can watch you do all of your steps on like a Chrome plugin, and then it creates a PDF and you go in and just edit a few things from there. If you're going to do this with an outsourcer of how to implement SEO, implement a change on Facebook or do a Google business profile, how to edit the dashboard to build and apply for an app, any of that You can do a Loom video, record it for the first time, or you can use one of these other softwares. The first time you do it, take your time, walk through it, and then you can make your tweaks and edits from there. Having that system and that standard operating procedure allows you to then see what people are doing, how they're doing it. It makes them stop and think and go. Now that's kind of like a week 3 through 6 type process when I come in, because I want to get everybody on board. I want to get them into the routine of what we're doing, and we're working through getting your time, getting your, I can't give everybody a fire hose all at once, but I build into that as we go, and we get things set up, and we move through this process for the branding as we set up, right? I think if you go through and think about how it's, what is that Chrome plugin? Sandy just asked, and I know there's some others, so I just happened to see that. And I know somebody sent that to me just a little while. So hold on a second.
And then if there's any other questions, great time to pull in a few questions from
Yeah.
you. As Jeff's been going through this material, if there's something that's come up, please put it in the chat now. You can also unmute if you'd like.
Yeah. Trying to figure out where that is. I think David sent to me. There are plugins that for like operating procedures, SOP plugin. There's actually procedures management application. So yeah, process plugins. Upper Chrome. Yeah, I can't think. I can't see off the top of my head. If David just ask me, I'll send it to you. Just send it to everybody after this.
Jericho, make sure we don't forget.
Yeah, David sent to me. I have to go find it from there.
Okay.
So
this has been really, really good content today, Jeff. And I love when we get our agency owners thinking bigger, running the shop that's going to produce the revenue is the shop that's going to be set up correctly. You're going to have KPIs. You're going to have, you inspect what you expect, right? You ever use that one?
No, I've not, but I like the what gets measured gets results.
What gets measured gets results. Love that one too.
Yeah, data over opinions, right? I have an opinion on everything, but the data is going to tell me what's right.
Yep.
So, and then for me, as I'm going through, I basically then start to allow people to do their job, right? I don't micromanage. I'm not a macro manager. I'm like, go get it, and I leave, right? But what I do is I say, all right, go do your job. You got your one objective for the week. I'm out of your way. I'm going to go let you do your job. Either you've been here or I've given you our SOPs. Go in here, start to implement your job. Anytime you have a question, ask me. There's no stupid question because I probably screwed something up. I always put the fault on me. I say, look, probably didn't give it to you, or I didn't think it through enough, right? Or as we build this out, ask me a question. Right now I'm training sales guys how to do sales pitches and sales decks, and they were sales guys, right? Or they were presenting for different companies. I'm getting paid pretty well to just basically teach people things that I know and I do on a day-to-day basis because I'm a digital agency owner. I'm a digital marketer. But you'd be surprised what you guys know in this room right now that other people don't as we go. So those are all like key things for me that allow me to, like Damien said, automate and scale and grow. But when I really go back to it, right, you're creating efficient workflows. You're able to identify real versus busy work, and the people that work with you, for you, I have about a 75% success rate for staff because I identify a few people that might need to go. And it's a hard conversation, except for when you come in and you set your objectives and you set your core values. Well, I'm not arguing with you on, oh, you're doing a terrible job. No, say, okay, so let's take a look at the objective that we had last week, right? So think about this, real work versus busy work, and putting everything we just talked about in the last 45 minutes in place. We talked about meeting these objectives. Okay, we missed this, something happened, whatever it is, right? Well, how does that stack up to our core values? I'm letting them tell me how they missed the mark. Right? Do you think that matches what we do here that we discussed with the core values, right? And it's pretty obvious because they're going to know where you're going. They're going to be like, oh yeah, I can see that doesn't match. Like, okay, right? you can go a warning, whatever it is. This is super, super simple to go through and just duplicate. And what I'm teaching them to do is what I'm doing, which is giving them the process, the procedure, the instructions on what to do, and then how to move up and out of that position from there.
Jason dropped a question that boggles my mind. I'll let you take that one.
Sure, go ahead. You got to read it to me. Sorry.
Okay, Jason, unmute and read that question, please. You know it's a complicated question when, but all questions are good. Jason, are you still there? Go ahead and unmute.
Okay, I got it.
There you go.
Yeah, what about business-to-business consumer intelligence?
Okay.
Along having schema ready to go for having KPI and RFX towards hiring competitive intelligence in benchmarks. Because my interest in the setup of an agency is eventually to go towards having the use of factoring as part of the payment arrangements, and to provide value addition towards possibilities of having walkthrough readiness for the business brokering industry.
Okay, so that's a lot to digest in there.
That's why I had him ask it.
Yeah. So are you looking to provide value based on those metrics, or would this work in that type of industry? Because this will work anywhere.
Yes, it's more like, having a way to be able to provide for the way in which your clientele would make use of ancillary services, like if you had catalogs of consultants, financial appraisers, and the like.
Okay, so
you're basically inserting yourself as the loop through, and using the extra information to prepare.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically you want to use another service. You want to be the conduit with another service. So
Right.
You could, yeah. I mean, I've never done it that way, but I would say you could say, look, I'm going to be the data. I'm going to provide you the data that I found between this side and that side, and I'll be the analyst and the specialist in that case. That's what I would think.
Where the microphone was
Okay.
at the bottom there. So, yeah, I mean, I came up with a model some time ago that has me arranging for evaluating and reorganizing traffic when you have sites that are moving from one owner's hands to another. So you're not taking a percentage of the traffic itself per se, but you're providing the underlying capabilities transition and any necessary alterations of demographics.
Sounds
Gotcha.
intriguing, man. We might have to get you on to share some of that.
Yeah, that's definitely
Uh-huh.
outside the scope of building a system and a process for there, but it's possible. That would require a whole other conversation of where you're at with this. And I think as I'm listening to you and trying to really absorb that, you've got essentially what could be a really high dollar consulting type offer for the right clients, but you could implement something like this and then be that person in the middle for sure. So
Now, just real quick, I got a question for you, Jeff, as we're going to be closing in here on the end. I want to make sure to get it out. But so you're going to recommend these strategies, obviously, for everybody in here in their own agency, and as they're growing their agency, maybe they're just starting to scale their agency, but also as a way to consult for businesses and charge for their knowledge of helping them.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say go out. I wouldn't say go out the door with that as like, I'm a consultant for this. Get it down to where it's in your system. Like Damien will tell you, I'm anal retentive. Like I plan things when we do events and things like that, down to the minute when it comes to a schedule, right? So if that's not your vibe, then that's not who you are, then I don't offer that, right? Get it down so that when people look at you, you're like, you're the organized person. Like, you're the person that runs this, 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 this. People start saying that, you're going to have people ask you, well, could you do that for our business? Or, hey, this is what we do, right? I set up these things for my own business, and we've got these processes. We could teach it to you from there.
Yeah, man, I think it's a matter of implementing it in your business, right? Getting a real good understanding of it and offering it as a value add. You're offering marketing services. And if their operation's not running correctly, they're not selling the stuff that you're helping drive to the phone or to the door or whatever. And so there's actually a vested interest there into helping guide them, but understanding it first and implementing it in your own operation makes a lot of sense.
Right, because then they look at you, right? Damien, would you look at me and say, I'm an unorganized person?
Yeah, that doesn't belong in the same sentence.
So if I were to say, hey, look, I'm working on this right now, and you'd be like, oh, well, can you help me get this started as a business owner, things like that. So for me, when I look at that and I go through for those business owners I'm talking to, I don't offer it. My most recent one that I just picked up, I was basically headhunted by a friend of mine, and it was like, hey, I need somebody to do this. Well, actually, I need a you. And then it turned into, well, would you do it for me? And I'm like, no. And then it was like 3 days of harassment. And I was like, all right, I'll do it.
I'm having that same conversation right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to go to that next, well, will you do it for me? So I'm going to have to exchange notes with you, because that's my next question.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. We're like,
another conversation I'm having.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like, and I was like, you know what, it'd be cool if we worked together for 6 months, and, probably more than that. But I said, I'll give you 6 months. Right. Let me put the stuff in place. And I just restarted this with a whole other group, like actually a month ago. It's literally a month ago. It's been a month next week. So, and I've gone through everything I taught you guys today. I just reset into a whole other company over the last 4 weeks and have dialed it in even further. Like Damien talked about, right? As we earlier in the bullet points and sent out efficient workflows, figure out what's busy and what's not busy work for you guys from there. This is not difficult stuff. Damien, if you just have Derek email me, I know he emailed me earlier today, just say, hey, can you give me the stuff for the call? I'll just give you a Google Doc with everything.
There you go. Perfect.
And I'll just break it up with I'll give you one doc and just make sure I give you guys everything you need.
Brad likes that.
This isn't for sale. Like, it wasn't even for sale last month. Somebody convinced me to do it. And I've just really been honing it as we go. It works, right?
Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for being willing to come on here and share with everybody. And then
it's my pleasure.
Really
honestly, there's no course. I can't do coaching. Like, this is just the boring BS that, like, if you really want to have a big business, like, this is what you got to do, right? There's no, like, if I sold you guys a webinar for $19.97 on this, you'd be like, yeah, thanks, Jeff. Like, good luck. Like, you're never going to buy that on a pay plan. Like, no, there's no shiny object to it, but it's the underbelly that makes everything work, right? It's a simple method. I haven't given you guys anything that you just can't read on a Google Doc as we go through. And it gives you, like, now I can see people like sharing, like, structure, right?
Yeah.
Daily team activities. If you do this for yourself first, if you are a solo operator agency, do it as a one-person agency, right? Just do it for yourself as you go from there. Set the standard with your weekly stand-up, right? Just, hey, look, here's where we're at, and here's as we go through, set up. All of that in place gives you the last one, which is in my bullets, which is keys to a happy work-life balance. You have the time to be able to do both. You have the ability to say, this is my time block. I tell you right now, actually, Damien, I'm in Denise's group where it's trying to get down to like 3 days a week worth of work. And I'm like, instead of that, I just take on another company or I start another project. But it's about being efficient in the time that you have. If you have a block of time that you've got 1 hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is to do something, you're going to focus and you're going to crank and you're going to get things done because the gun's to your head, right? So you're the self-imposing gun to your head from there. That allows you to get things done faster and allows when your block of time is up. I can tell you right now, it's 6 o'clock here, where Damien and I are, but 5 o'clock Friday on until Sunday. Damien knows this. I said basically after 5 o'clock on Friday, my wife owns my schedule.
I can only call him about beers and fun.
Yep. And it's dead serious. My wife owns these 2.5 days, right? Whatever it is. That's my work-life balance, right? Let me do what I need to do during the week. I'm home about 4:00 every day. Do something with the family, the kids, all that kind of stuff. Some days I'll get up earlier. 7. Last week I got up at 4:30 one day and I couldn't go to sleep, so I went to work early. But like normally I'm in the office by like 8 or 9. And then none of this has sacrificed my year-over-year growth because I'm systemizing it, and really I'm making more of me as we go set up from there. All right, 3 questions, go.
Okay, number 1.
Yep.
Why did you move to Cabo?
I moved to Cabo because we kept coming down here and we loved it down here. And two of the big reasons were the pandemic had just opened. This is one of the first places we can go to and fly. And we walked into a friend's house and saw the golf course, the ocean, everything. And we were loving it here. And my wife said, I want to move here, build me a house or buy me a house. So we bought in development. I also knew that I had Damien down here. So all of the hard, scary stuff that potentially could happen, he already had a guy. So I already had boots on the ground here, and it made it easy for me, to be honest with you. So
all right, next question. Your favorite book that you've read in the last 12 months, and it could be audio, that's fine, but in the last 12 months.
Never Split the Difference.
Okay, everybody write that down. Somebody pop it in the chat. Where can they follow you, Jeff? Where can they find you?
Go to jeffhershey.com.
There you go, jeffhershey.com.
HERSCHY.com.
All right, look, I promised you we were wrapping this right at the top of the hour, so I just thank you so much. Bottom of my heart, Jeff. Love you, man. I really appreciate you sharing your time today. Everybody, please unmute. Give Jeff a big, warm sign-off here.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and hopefully you got something out of this. I know it wasn't shiny object land.
Always good.
This will make you money.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, nicely done.
Awesome. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.
That was
Have a
awesome.
great day.
They all loved you, Jeff. Thank you, man. You
Awesome.
delivered.
Damien, love you. Love you
Thank you,
guys.
Jeff.
Talk to you soon.
Fellow military bro.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damien. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Great time.
It was good to see you on here, Tangela. I saw you on there. It's good to see all of you. All of you have a fantastic weekend. Hey, Miguel, good to see you. Joe, what's up? What's up? Brad, good to see you on. Carl, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy this weekend. I'm going to go do this special ceremony tonight. I'm going to just get grounded tonight. You guys enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your family. Hug your loved ones. Life is short. Love you guys.